guys, and welcome back to another episode of Renaissance Room Podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to be chopping it up. This is going to be one of our, observations type of thing. So I want to kind of share something about me. And I love expressing myself in the most creative ways. I remember just kind of saying, like, I'll pretty much use any medium if it allows for creativity, because I love it. It's a lot of fun. And as I'm sitting here today, I realized that I really want to shift gears with the Renaissance Room. I think my initial premise was to educate Black viewers in regards to Blackness and excellence and things like that. But I realized for me, leadership is something that's just all about deed. I think even in my walk with Christ, like just everything for me is all about actions. Like I think that's just kind of where I'm at now. Just kind of like leaning more into just showing up differently, right? And, there was a previous podcast, like lately we've been kind of talking about some cultural things. And before we reach to the next segment, I kind of want to address some of the things that we spoke about. So when it comes to racism, what I'm learning is that as I continue to evolve, as I continue to grow within myself, as I strengthen my relationship with God, there really is no sense of inferiority within me. And racism is not always it's not always on the forefront for me. And I'm not going to say it doesn't exist, because we know that, right? But I will say that when it comes to certain prejudices, we have to be mindful. They can be extremely detrimental. They can be extremely distracting, and they can be very, very much just incorrect and a little stifling, Unfortunately, we are really in a time where community is just not really a thing. Unfortunately, that's just kind of something we've always kind of struggled with in our community, with the crabs in a barrel. I know for me, I've always really struggled with a lot of jealousy and envy from a lot of my peers. But we want to be mindful not to make any generalizations, right? And so I say that to say, sometimes like the people that you're most familiar with are the ones that aren't going to help you. Right. And that's not always the case. I'm not, like I said, we want to be mindful of generalizations. I guess what I'm really just encouraging you guys to do in regards to racism, things like that, and like certain prejudices that you may have from your experiences, is to, one, don't overgeneralize, and two, just trust your intuition. Don't just trust your intuition. Like if somebody ain't right, then just let it be that, but don't base everything off of a person's skin color, because that can be very stifling, and a lot of times it's a little inaccurate. So anyway, moving forward, is being gay a choice? That podcast episode was super, super touchy. Like even just like me talking about Shanquella Robertson, which is really saddening because, I know she's dead and gone, and I know that's life, and, we move along. But what happened to her, it was such a tragedy. And it's not a thing anymore. But I don't think that it's more so like the negligence. I wouldn't say it's the negligence of Black women. I think it's more so just like the time in which we live in today. Everything is so fast paced that we don't really take the time to sit and digest any sense of information. We're always kind of on to the next things. There's always something new, especially when we're so connected now more than ever, like in the world. Like, we're on social media. We can see things that are happening in other countries. We can get these stories so quickly. And so it's very easy to kind of just like forget about a person. But I had to make that podcast episode. And, I want to be mindful. Like I think when it comes to the LG community, I do think it's the community that needs the love the most. I think that community in itself is convenient, yeah, because there is a sense of liberation that, people who identify within that space, they have, the other people just don't have in certain, capacities. I think that it's kind of like a come here, be who you want to be loose, be crazy, and not like in a bad way, but just, that's kind of what they stand for, and that's like that sense of freedom. But I do think that's a community that definitely needs a lot of love. And so I never want to come on and say certain things, like I'm definitely not spewing hate, and I'm not, I don't have anything against them. It's just, there are some things that we got to recognize, and there are some things we have to kind of like acknowledge when certain things happen, because I think because we protect this community so much, there's not really like any accountability had. And it's extremely detrimental, it's extremely detrimental, especially in that situation, right? So yeah, that's one thing. Another thing, now we can go ahead and get into this podcast episode. I kind of wanted to touch on the whole Lauryn Hill thing, her daughter coming out. I think that what we have to realize, like with social media, this is not your haven. Like this isn't your space to like come and just like vent. Because the thing is, Lauryn Hill has done so much for the community. She is probably one of the most influential artists of her time. And I just think to come out and to say certain things about her, you know, with the intention to destroy her reputation, that was very immature. And I think we have to be mindful of that when we come online. And you can tell that her child did it to spite her in a way. But that's not okay. Like ragging out on your parents, it's just not okay. You got to heal from that, you know. And you have to be mindful when you put stuff online. You can't take it back. You know, you can delete it, but it never really goes away, especially when you have such a following. You know, hearing her voice when she talked about her mother, I'm like, wow, she is a spinning image of her mother. You know, and I just see that with so many younger kids in my generation, like they all want to come online and like tear down their parents, you know. And I don't know. I don't really get with that, you know. And I think about Lauryn. She said she was very angry. I mean, Lauryn Hill was, like I said, one of the most influential artists of her time, you know. And I'm not sure if she received the recognition or the monetization that she deserved, you know, within that era, within her industry. We don't know, right? We don't know. We know sometimes contractual agreements can be very stifling. So who knows what the rage and the anger was about, you know. But I just think, you know, to come on and say stuff like that about, again, one of the most influential, well-respected artists of our time, like, we got to do better. We have to do better. And I think this is the thing where I'm always kind of teetering with about this whole, like, freedom of expression. Like, you can be expressive, you can do all those things, but I just think, I don't know, as we talk about, like, fluidity and just, you got to have some type of constraint. You got to have some self-control, you know. But anyway, I want to take this podcast episode to, not this episode, I'm sorry, but the podcast in general. I want it to be a little bit more resourceful. Like, I want us to I just kind of want to share resources and help you guys and my listeners in that way. So, I mean, again, it's still through thought-provoking conversations. I just want us to be able to move forward in regards to, like, the resources. I don't know, you know, for me, I think about where we're headed, where we're going, and just, you know, you learn and you grow so much. You know, I've learned and I've grown so much. So at this point, we're still going to be champion culture, but it's going to be a little different. Like, we're going to have different conversations, much similar to Earthen's Den, but we're gonna roll with it. But that's all I really had to say. Hope you guys having a great day. Again, be mindful of your perceptions. Be mindful of the things that you consume. You know, it's very easy to come online and express yourself, like in the Shanquilla Robinson podcast. I was wrong. It wasn't a man that was beating her. It was a man that was recording her. So I was wrong about that. But I still wanted to post that video. I don't even think it finished. I don't even think I finished that podcast. But it was important for me because I just wanted to pay homage. I felt like I needed to pay homage. You know, seeing that was crazy to me. It was so triggering, and just the desensitization of it. And I felt like there was a lot of things people missed in that. You know, everybody's perspective is their own. I'm not here to defend mine, but I just felt like that was, you know, a lot of people missed, like, some very critical things in that video. And I don't think that anyone was really held accountable from a particular type of community that we do protect by any means, which I get, because I do think it's a community that needs a lot of love, right? I'm not opposed to that. I get it, you know, and I don't have anything against it. I'm just saying, you know, I felt like with that, like, it said a lot. Anyway, yeah, so I think that within certain rights within the community, you know, you're given the permission to be, like, I don't want to say catty, but kind of like backstabby a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So my point is, you just got to be mindful of, like, generalizations. You know, I know for myself, there's definitely been a lot of times where it's like, you want to jump online, you want to talk about what black men aren't doing, what black women aren't doing. But, like, if you just get off a line and you just, like, sit with yourself in your world and your experiences, you realize how none of that applies to you. Like, none of it applies to you. I mean, do you meet people who have that type of mindset? Yes, but I really do believe that if you start to love yourself and like value yourself, you're just not gonna have those experiences. Like, I mean, like, valuing yourself is like valuing your light. I lost myself along the way. When you stop valuing those little things about yourself, like, so I think if you love yourself, you'll really like not have a lot of experiences that people talk about so prevalently online. So that's the message for today, and we'll talk soon. I hope you guys have an amazing day. It's Friday. Get you some Mexican. I love Mexican. I've been eating at all the Mexican spots. I'm such a foodie. I hit my little go away, y'all, and I tell people this all the time too. Like, I believe that when it comes to like diets and stuff like that, my professor just sent me back a comment on my essay. I just seen a notification on my phone. But I believe that when it comes to like diets and hitting certain goals, I believe that you really got to move with the spirit of love. You got to move with the spirit of peace, and you just got to be happy. I really do believe that. Like, I feel like for me, that's how I reach everything that I'm desiring, God's will, okay? It's just moving off the spirit of love. And so I set a goal weight, and I didn't really think about it. I just started loving myself. I bought some protein shakes, which I was like, okay, I'm really iffy about the protein shakes just because I feel like it's a lot of chemicals in that stuff. It's like chalky. I feel like it just kind of sits in your intestines. Like, is my body digesting it? I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about that stuff because I feel like it's powder and it's like compact and it's like, where's it going? Is my body digesting that properly? But anyway, I did my part, but I just felt like I wasn't gaining any weight. And so I was like, all right, forget it. I'm just live. And yeah, I'm at my goal weight, and I feel good. I look great. So move with the spirit of love, whatever you do. I think, like I said, what I said when we talk about diets, it just kind of goes off of self-love. You got to do what feels good to your body. You got to do what, eat what feels good to you. I get certain diets and things like that. I'm not opposed. I wasn't a vegan, but I wasn't vegetarian. Well, I ate fish, so pescatarian, 4 years. And then I wasn't after a while because I felt like my body was malnourished. And once I stopped and changed my diet, I didn't realize how malnourished I was. I felt very healthy. So again, it goes back to like, what works for you? What works for you? Okay, just know your body, know yourself, and love yourself. I believe that is the core foundation. Like, it's love God, love yourself, and then love others as you love yourself. That's why I tell people, like, it's so important for you to love yourself, and it's so important for men to love themselves, women to love themselves, and not this whole narcissistic type of thing. You got to love who you are on the inside. You got to love yourself, despite your financial situation, despite your circumstances. If you never had nothing, like, you gotta love who you are as a person. And if you don't like that, then change that. And if you can't change that, then I don't know, try to make peace with it. You can be whoever you want to be, but I do think that we are spirits, and I do think that people, we ain't gonna go too far down. We ain't gonna go too far down the rabbit hole. Anyway, okay, you guys, happy Friday. Peace.